Hey, welcome back to the Gilbertson Aero Factory. Today is Friday, the 21st of November, 2025. That means that it's been exactly 6 months and 15 days since my last video, which also means it's been 6 months and 15 days since I've done any building on my airplane. Anyway, so a lot has changed during that time. As you all know, I've been building my company. That has been successful. I'll tell you a little bit more about that, and we're getting closer to the point, but not completely, when I can kind of break a little more time away from that and get back to building. I thought today was going to be one of those days, and now it's 2:30 in the afternoon and my phone is still ringing, so we'll figure it out. But as you can see, the Aero Factory is really not much of an Aero Factory. It is just completely overrun with stuff piled up, and so the first thing that I need to do is just get this thing back in shape, so I can do some building and also regroup, refresh myself with where we left off, what's left to do. I'll probably put a list up in the voiceover portion of this, but in a nutshell, we need to finish up the wings. We know that we have to finish up the left flaps. We have to finish up those aileron push tubes that we're working on. And then we'll get into the plumbing and the wiring of the wings. We'll get into, I think, the big aileron push tubes that come from the fuselage. And then putting on the wingtips, putting on the bottom skins, stuff like that. Plenty of work to do. Fuselage is still not on order, and that's something that we have to really start thinking seriously about. But we also have to pay bills. So today will be a little bit of a state of the project / getting this mess organized enough that we can do work in here. And if we have any time to do any actual airplane building work, we will, but no promises. We just need to get the ball rolling. Oh, and some of you may already know that Tim and I started recording the podcast again. So we finally published the one that we recorded all the way back in May or April or something like that. I don't know. And we recorded a new one. That one's posted, and we'll be recording another one soon. So stay tuned for that, and let's build an airplane. Please, please, let's build an airplane. The right thing to do here might be to begin with sort of a state of the Aero Factory to see what we're really dealing with, and then also to memorialize the condition that it was in before we got back to building. So let's see. Okay, time for the reality. I don't even know where to begin, because you can see that I've done what normal human beings do, which is crowd every flat surface with anything that happens to be in my hand at a time. So we have stuff from the last time I primed something, probably fixing something on my mower. Who knows what I was using this for? It looks like I put new line on my string trimmer, which is stacked up in the corner of doom. I got some steel wool because I was trying to get some corrosion off of the exhaust pipes of a motorcycle. What else here? A pin for the trailer for my lawn tractor, oil change on the truck, had a sprinkler head break. It's all so random and messy. And then just all the other stuff. Every time that I need to mow the lawn and put air in the tires or whatever, it all gets stacked up here sloppily. The blower just randomly sitting there. I've got a guitar stand that I was gonna weld a piece back onto. I had to change the batteries in my garage door opener. I have tools from Harbor Freight that have been sitting in the package for 10 months since I bought them. And I have our 3 sad aileron push tubes that need to turn into just 2 good ones. Random stuff everywhere you look. This part of the shop has turned into the motorcycle shop, And you see that I've got one motorcycle over there, so I have room to work over here. And everything's just a smoking heap of scheisse. So, I mean, when I work on the motorcycle, everything just gets thrown in a tote when I'm working over here. So, this is the current state of the shop. I guess we should look at actual airplane parts. The wings sitting in the cradle, wing tips up top. We've made the fly leads lights. We need to get those attached. We have a random fuel tank that actually doesn't even fit either one of the motorcycles I have, and I think that there's another random one around here too. I don't know why. We've got the flaps. That one looks like it's all together, so that must be the right flap, the left flap. And we've got bottom skins, rando parts, fuel senders from, if you remember that fiasco. Ailerons, maybe these are the flaps. I don't know. There's a lot going on here. Anyways, a lot to catch up on. Let's just get to cleaning, I suppose. Okay, it's been a long time. The garage is a mess. That's been established. This little time-lapse bit, not very interesting, to be honest. Just trying to make sense of the things that have been piled up. So you'll see me disappear a little bit. Put empty gas cans in the truck, take a half full gas can, go fill up the generator, put the other gas can in the truck, clean up a whole big mess of goo. On those shelves that you see me near, completely opposite this camera position, is kind of where I keep chemical type stuff and something I didn't really anticipate. But I had a couple of grease guns, loaded up with bearing grease for the trailer and whatnot, and the Houston heat turned those things into goo, and they just leaked out and dripped over everything over there. Anyways, here's the deal. We got to get this garage back into Aero Factory shape so we can do some work on the airplane. I mentioned that I have been fairly successful in growing my business, which is true, but with that comes more time required, of course, right? So I've been hiring and expanding the scope of the work that we do, but the hope would be that, as I grow my team, that I can delegate a lot of the responsibility. But first I have to get them all trained up so that they know how to do the thing that we do to the standard that our clients expect. So still a lot of work to be done, but I feel like I can see the light at the end of the tunnel where I'll be able to dedicate more time to doing these sort of things, which I love. So camera angle switch, which means it's a new day. By the time I got into the garage yesterday, I only had about maybe an hour and a half to do anything. And so that was mostly cleaning, and you can see very little cleaning occurred. So today there is something specific that I wanted to get to, and it will happen in this session. So something meaningful and productive actually did occur. So the first part of today's cleanup is just not really cleaning, just barely organizing, just making enough room so I can get something done. So I have a habit of just whatever tool's in my hand, it stays where it lands. And so trying to get back into it. I think in the background, I got a couple of things going. I had Slink Air videos going back there. And then if you haven't checked out Jeff and Paper Gary, I think that's what it is. Yeah, Jeff and Paper Gary, maybe Gary and Paper Jeff. I think it's Jeff and Paper Gary. He's a guy who reached out to both Tim and I. He's just beginning a pretty new build, so it's pretty fun to check out somebody who is where we were a couple years ago, starting from scratch. So definitely go check out that channel if you are interested in the early days of a new project. Okay, so here's what I wanted to do. I mentioned the aileron push tubes a couple of times. It's one of the last things that we were working on. So I have one good
aileron push tube where where we used Cherry Max rivets. I have another one where the Cherry Max rivets just came out horribly, probably because I didn't prep them correctly, because there's something that you need to do. So I have a useless one, and then I have a third one that is kind of middling, kind of halfway. Like they didn't set perfectly, but they set pretty good. Anyways, the fact is this. I'm drilling out or removing the rivets from the worst one. And I'm basically just going to use this as an experiment. I'll talk about it a little bit more further ahead here in the video, but all this fuss you see me doing here is just getting those rivets out, and then up there where those holes are to pass the rivets through, getting the powder coating cleaned off of there for the next bit of the experimentation, which I think turned out pretty well. So other than that, what's been going on? Yeah, working a lot. Summer has not ended in Houston. Today, as I'm recording this, it is the 22nd of November, and the high will be about 86 degrees. So I've completely lost track of time because it seems like it is still just the middle of summer. But here in a couple of days, I'm going to hit the road, go visit family, Thanksgiving, go see my youngest daughter at college while she is dancing at a football game, and make my way back, and then get back in here and do more stuff. So I'm going to stop speaking now, and we'll see what happens, but I'll catch you guys in the next one. Here we go.
Okay, here's what's going on. I have an extra aileron push tube because the rivets didn't set correctly. So I rebuilt it, and one of the suggestions from Vans in the instructions was that if you want to, you can weld it. And I had always thought about that meant welding along the collar up here where the threaded rod end meets the tube after it's been pressed in. And I asked a couple of people about it. I'm certainly not a welder, but I asked a couple of people about it, and it didn't seem like a great idea. So I went ahead and tried to do riveting or rivet with the Cherry Max rivets. A few days ago, I was thinking about it, and I realized I have nothing to lose here. I have one that I can actually experiment with, and so I've cleaned. I removed the rivets that were in here previously. Obviously, I've taken off the powder coating, and then I had some 1/8" steel rod in my garage already that I had used to sort of protect the radius when bending whatever control surface. So I had a bunch of it laying around. So I cut little pieces of it. So my idea was, instead of trying to delicately weld around here, fill those holes where the rivets were previously, basically pin it, and then weld these in place. So that's what I'm going to try to do. I think that I'm going to clean these little pins up a little bit so that they don't completely, so that they're just a little bit short, but we'll see what happens. I'm not a welder, you know that. Ugly, for sure, but I can't imagine it ever coming apart.